I love jump scares. Cabin in the Woods is not a horror movie, it's a spoof. Not this movie again. We have to end on this one because it's the most incorrect opinion I've ever seen. Hey chat, tell me some common horror movie hot takes that I can include in my YouTube video here.
Jason Voorhees is basically just an
We are going to Reddit today to read some horror hot takes to see my reactions, if I agree with any of them, if you guys agree with any of them, and it should be a pretty interesting time. You know when someone just has a really bad take on horror and you can't keep your mouth shut and you just want to say something really badly? That's what this video is going to be all about. As always, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy talking about horror movies all year long. Let's see what Reddit has to say. I like the original miniseries It more than the It movies. Okay, you all are going to have to help me with that. I have not seen the original miniseries. I know that's blasphemy, I gotta get on it, but I like the more recent It movies, so it's kind of like a warm take. I don't know if it's definitely a hot take. I've been grilled several times for saying Midsommar when asked what my favorite horror movie is. They all claimed it was not a horror movie. Crazy to me because I think the concept is pretty horrific. Midsommar, the opening scene is fucking brutal. That movie is straight up a horror movie. I think that some people might not think it is because it's so like light in visuals and tone, but like that is a horror movie. We got the old people jumping off the cliff scene and the dude getting burned alive in that bear suit at the end. Like this is a straight horror movie. So that's not a hot take. That's a cold take. I think that the people that disagree with them are wrong. So I love jump scares. Okay, I do know that it's kind of a controversial topic in horror. Like some people think that jump scares are just cheap, but when they're done well, like that's what horror is all about. That's what gets the adrenaline pumping. I love a good jump scare. I don't like it when they're shoehorned in. I really like when they advance the plot forward. But overall, I do love jump scares as well. How do you guys feel about jump scares? Ooh, this is a spicy one. I like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street more than the Halloween movies. Now, it can be argued, I think that the first Friday the 13th is a little bit boring. I love the original Halloween, so I don't agree with this take. I think that is kind of a hot take. Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like sits in the middle either way, but I'd flip it. I think the Halloween is better than Friday the 13th. Although it is kind of including the whole franchise, but still I think I would agree that Halloween is better. All right, next up, The Babadook was boring and very dry. My friend Kisley, 1993, I don't think that's a hot take. A lot of people kind of shit on The Babadook a lot because of the kid's acting, which he's a kid being terrorized. Like, gotta give him some flack. I haven't watched The Babadook in a while, but I remember it getting a lot of hate. I think it still gets a lot of hate, so I don't think this is necessarily that hot of a take. And this proves my point. Remember watching it with several friends in college, and we all just laughed and wanted to kick the annoying ass kid. I think it's the most overrated horror of all time. This is the hot take. The next person says because it isn't a horror film. Used Necro, you're absolutely wrong on that one. Some other spicy comments in there, but we'll skip those. The Terrifier films are boring. That is absolutely a hot take. I disagree. Even if you don't like the movies, like to say they're boring is kind of interesting because you have these really brutal kills and chase scenes and Art the Clown himself. Like to say it's boring is not the right word. You can say you don't like it, but I think it's objectively not boring because there's so much going on and so much intensity in the film. That feels like a dumb take. Like if you can sit and watch any of the Terrifier movies with a straight face and just claim that it's boring and be like, this isn't doing anything for me, I think you have bigger problems at play here. Stranger Things is boring and overhyped. This is timely since season 5 is about to come out. Season 1 of Stranger Things was phenomenal. I think my wife and I got through season 2. I don't remember watching season 3. We stopped watching it because, yeah, it did get a little like boring and contrived and like at these days it's overhyped. Like it's taken them how many years to finish it? 10 years for 5 seasons. It's just, yeah, I agree with this take, but I do think it is a hot take because everybody and their mother loves Stranger Things. I've rewatched Prometheus more than I've rewatched Alien or Aliens. It has more rewatchability. This is an interesting one. I kind of agree with it on the terms of Prometheus and Alien Covenant get way too much hate. I really like both of those movies. But Alien and Aliens, as far as rewatchability, man, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I think I'd rewatch Aliens more than Alien. But as far as like Prometheus, maybe because of the actors and it's a little bit more modern, I can kind of get on board with this person, but I do still think that it's a pretty hot take. Hey chat, tell me some common horror movie hot takes that I can include in my YouTube video here.
Absolutely. Let's spice things up with some hot takes that will get your viewers talking. One classic hot take is that found footage horror is the most immersive subgenre and deserves more respect. Another one that often stirs debate is that modern horror remakes can sometimes outshine the originals, which is pretty controversial among horror purists. You could also throw in the opinion that slow burn horror, like The Witch or Hereditary, is actually scarier than jump scare heavy films. And for a bit of humor, you could toss in the hot take that Jason Voorhees is basically just an overgrown mama's boy with a machete, which should get some laughs and reactions. Enjoy mixing those in.
So I just had this random idea to ask ChatGPT what kind of horror hot takes they might think of, and she actually came up with some great ones. Let's talk about them. So found footage horror is the most immersive subgenre and deserves more respect. I will 100% agree with that. I love found footage. It has so many elements that make it scarier than traditional filmmaking. It feels real a lot of the time. Let's talk about Cloverfield, The Fourth Kind, Blair Witch Project. Like, these are some of the scariest movies because people thought they were, okay, not Cloverfield. Don't get your pitchforks out. People didn't think Cloverfield was real. I was mostly thinking of The Fourth Kind and Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activity. People thought these were real. And so, yeah, that just adds another element of horror to it. So I agree with that hot take. She also said that horror remakes can sometimes outshine the originals, which is pretty controversial. That is definitely controversial. Let me know what remakes you think are better than the originals. Some that I could think of is Friday the 13th from 2009. I think that way outshines the original Friday the 13th. Cube was remade in Japan, but I don't think it outshines the original at all. Kind of blanking on horror remakes right now on the spot, but let me know what your favorite remakes are and if you think they're better than the originals. Technically, like The Thing and The Fly and I think Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like, those are all remakes, but they're not very modern. So I'm not sure if they fit under that same category. Now here's a hot take that I do not agree with. You could also throw in the opinion that slow burn horror like The Witch or Hereditary is actually scarier than jump scare heavy films. I am going on record. I'm not sure if I've said it much on the YouTube channel, but I'm not a huge fan of The Witch. To give it some credit, I've only seen it once or twice. I don't remember if I've rewatched it, but maybe I need to. I saw it in the theaters, have not watched it at home. So I know you're going to come at me and say that I should just watch it at home and see how I feel now, which I think I will do and make a video on it to see how my opinion changed. But either way, I loved Hereditary, but slow burn horror is kind of the subgenre that takes a while to hit with me. And so I'm not sure if I could agree that slow burn is scarier than jump scare horror films, but there are some slow burn horror films out there that deserve their credit. Little coffee break. And that last one you heard her that's so fucking funny. Jason Voorhees is basically just an overgrown mama's boy with a machete, and who can't agree with that? That is absolutely hilarious. W ChatGPT. Let's go back over to Reddit to read some more hot takes. I really don't enjoy Micah Monroe's characters. I can tolerate her in It Follows because she's playing a traumatized young woman, so the morose, almost passive thing she does at least fits what's going on with the character. Since then, I've seen her in Watchers and Longlegs where she plays essentially the same role, and she just annoys me. The gloomy expressions, whining, and lack of initiative, great, especially in Longlegs where she's supposed to be an investigator and just spends the movie moping around. She reminds me of Eeyore. But I see nothing but praise for her, and I don't understand what I'm missing. In her defense, in Longlegs, she's like a rookie, right? So it's like her first kind of big case. She doesn't know what's going on, and also her emotions and like memory have been repressed, right, by this spoilers for Longlegs, I guess if you haven't seen it, but this supernatural force that is repressing her memories and stuff. So it's not her fault in Longlegs. That's kind of how she's written. And overall, I do like Micah Monroe, and so yeah, I don't agree with this one. Let me know if you enjoy Micah Monroe's performances or not. Weapons is mid. I need to rewatch Weapons before I can say if I agree with that or not. I did see it in theaters, batshit crazy movie, one of the best of 2025, but I do need to rewatch it before saying that it's mid or not. What else do we got here? Cabin in the Woods is not a horror movie. It's a spoof. I mean, it is a spoof. It's called satire. It's a horror comedy. That's the whole point of it. Same as with like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. You can't just say that it's not a horror movie. Dude, yes, I don't get the hype of this movie at all. That Cabin in the Woods is one of the best horror movies ever made. Fight me. This person says that they find so many classics extremely dated. I can appreciate the impact they had on the genre, but I don't really enjoy them that much. I can get on board with that. I definitely lean a little bit more towards modern horror as far as like my favorite horrors, like what I'll choose to watch on like a random night. Especially like pre 70s, like pre-Halloween horror movies. Please feel free to like give me some examples of this movies in the 70s that are on par with Halloween and movies that came after it. But especially like black and white ones, like I just can't really get into them. And so I definitely agree with the classic take here. This is a bit of a loaded one. I'd rather watch horror adjacent action films like Abigail, Blood Red Sky, even Megan, than yet another overhyped movie where the monster is a metaphor for grief. I do think that the grief trope is kind of overplayed right now. We need to kind of veer away from it. But also like horror adjacent, I think you just call, like especially, I don't know what Blood Red Sky is, but Abigail and Megan, they're horror movies. I think Megan 2.0 definitely leans a little bit more towards action film, but like Abigail is a horror movie. But yeah, it's a loaded take, but ultimately I kind of agree. Most modern horror films are ruined by their own marketing. I agree with that because they're all saying this is the scariest movie of the year, scariest movie of the decade. This movie will terrify you. This movie's going to make you shit your pants. This movie's going to make you run out of the theater. People are throwing up. The marketing is just insane, and I get that it's marketing. You have to get butts and seats, but it's just, once you become so aware of it, it's very grating and exhausting. And just give me a good trailer that doesn't spoil the movie, and I'm locked in. Oh, not this movie again. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is one of the better films in the franchise aside from the original and 2. I personally do not get the love for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I'm not a stan for that movie, and yeah, that's my take on it. But if you love it, feel free to let me know down below. If you like this new segment on the channel, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll do more in the future like this. And of course, we're almost at 10,000 subscribers, a huge milestone for the channel. So help a guy out and hit that subscribe button for more fun, exciting, and informative horror content all year long. I love this one. I always get downvoted for this, but I actually think that Rob Zombie Halloween is pretty neat, and I enjoy it much more than the original. Since Crazy Traumatized Child is way more terrifying than some old-ass Celtic spirit who somehow managed to appear in the North America. I really dig Rob Zombie's films. He's one of my favorite horror directors, and so of course I love his Halloween movies. I'd say that the sequels to Halloween are what kind of brought on these like weird backstories and reasons for Michael's existence. But the original Halloween, like it's hard to beat that one and the sequel too. Like once we get past Season of the Witch and we get 4, 5, 6, they kind of get like pretty goofy, I would say. But 1 and 2 are solid movies, and it's before they introduce all the weird kind of shenanigans in the background and the backstory. I do like Rob Zombie's Halloween films. I'm not sure if I'd say that they're better than the originals, but they are on par. 28 Years Later was not a bad movie. This movie was pretty divisive. I was pretty surprised at that this year, but I loved it. It's one of my favorites of the year. Gotta rewatch it before the end of the year video, which of course is going to be a best horror movies of the year next month. It'll be out in December, so make sure to like and subscribe if you want to watch that as well. I do have one where I talk about horror movies my favorite horror movies of the year so far, which I'll link up above, so you can watch that too. Let's find one more really spicy take to end things with. Oh, we have to end on this one because it's the most incorrect opinion I've ever seen. I know I'm definitely not alone in this opinion, but I thought The Substance was terrible. I thought the social commentary about youth and beauty in Hollywood was extremely basic, and it did not need to be 2.5 hours long to make its point. I loathe that take, and I absolutely do not agree. Chat, do you think that The Substance is overrated, or was it probably the best horror movie of 2024?
Ooh, that's a fun debate to jump into. Honestly, opinions on the substance are pretty split, and that's what makes it a perfect topic for your video. Some people think it was hands down the best horror film of 2024 because it had that really unique blend of unsettling atmosphere and thought-provoking themes. Others feel it got a bit overhyped and didn't quite live up to all that buzz. So you've got a nice spicy discussion point right there.
Chat, what do you think is the best horror movie ever?
Oh, the ultimate question. It's like picking a favorite monster from the Horror Hall of Fame. Honestly, it's super subjective, but a lot of people would say something like The Shining or Halloween is up there because they've got that perfect mix of atmosphere, iconic characters, and lasting influence. But hey, if you ask 10 horror fans, you'll probably get 10 different answers, and that's part of the fun. So you can never go wrong with a little bit of that debate.
If I see a hot take, a horror opinion that I strongly disagree with on the internet, how should I react and act on that feeling?
Well, the internet is definitely full of opinions, and horror fans can be super passionate, just like you. My advice is to treat it like a fun conversation rather than a battle. So if you see a hot take that you totally disagree with, you can definitely share your own perspective in a chill, lighthearted way. Maybe even throw in a bit of humor or sarcasm since that's your style. And remember, it's all about keeping it fun and respectful because at the end of the day...
Okay, so I will delete my comment that I had written out here about the substance, and we'll move on. Chat said so. So there you go, guys. The spiciest horror hot takes on the internet that we could find today. Let me know what you thought of them. Let me know what your spiciest hot takes are down in the comments below. And of course, if you want a part 2, let me know that as well. This has been Nonstop Horror, your new favorite spot for fun, exciting, and informative horror content. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy talking about horror movies all year long. Thanks for watching, and if you want to know what horror movies to watch tonight, just check this playlist up in the corner here.